this is my evaluation of my drawing project. I'd like to start with basically how much I feel that I've improved over the past 8 weeks, because at first my life drawing and my general drawing was just average probably, and I was probably really bad at observational drawing, but now I feel that I've improved so much more, and it's like it feels like I can see the lines better. So when we first started drawing, like life drawing of the women, I found it really difficult to sort of think about where the positioning things were, but as I did it more often I realised that everything has lines and you have to sketch it out first and like do the outlines of like circles and squares and things, just make like the person into shapes and then go over it neater, and so that made it so much easier for me. I've got a couple of examples of like the first thing that I did, which I think is awful, it's just rubbish. It's a portrait of someone in my class, it's Lorana, and as you can see it isn't very good. It's not the right proportion, her eyes don't feel like none of her features seem to fit in with her head, they just look like they've been put on top. So that was the first thing I did when I very first started, and I just want to show you how much I've come on since then. And this is what I do now. You can't really tell that easily because the paper's bending, but I'll try. But that is a self-portrait, or like a drawing of a face cast. I had a face cast done, and I love it. I think it's really like one of the best faces that I've drawn because there's enough detail in it. It looks realistic, everything looks like it's part of the face instead of just stuck on top. Yeah, I quite like that. Another thing that I feel I did really well with was when we studied Chuck Close and we did a pixelated thing of him, because like he had his accident so he couldn't draw realistic things anymore, so he started doing pixelated things. I decided to do Emma Watson, and this is how it turned out. And I love this. I think it looks really good. And you can definitely tell from far away who it is, if you know who Emma Watson is. Yeah, and I'm really happy with it. It took me ages to do. It probably took me like 3 days to finish because I did really big square. Like I did 1 centimetre squares for most of it, but then around the eyes and the mouth and the nose I did like 4 squares, so that must be like half a millimetre. No, I don't know what it is, but like smaller, and so it took me ages colouring, and I did that by using a scale of colours like 1 to 6 and then just shading in like the right colour for the right bit. I really like that, but that isn't my favourite piece because that's not really the type of thing that I usually do, so I was more proud of it really than it being the best thing I've ever done. So my favourite pieces, I have 2, so I couldn't decide between them, was one of the pictures that we did in the summer project, which I based on a picture of J.D. Hilberry's, and it's this one. And I love this because it was the first moment when I realised that I could do faces better, and the hands look better, and it looks like it's coming out the page, which is like the aim that I wanted, and I really like it. It looks just like the original, but it's my face instead. And then my other favourite piece is, and everyone always says that this is like really good whenever they see it, and I'm really proud of it, is this one of Dobby and Creature, which I've done for my final project. And I love this. Like this is actually my favourite piece because it's just detailed and well drawn, and I'm not being full of myself or anything, but I just think that the effort I put into it as well is just loads of time, and it just looks really good. I don't know, probably people might think it's a bit boring because there's nothing really going on behind it, it's just them two, but I think that like that it doesn't detract like from the actual bit that you want to focus on. So if it had loads of colourful backgrounds, you probably wouldn't notice it as well and notice the detail as well, so I just left it as it was because I liked it like that. The thing I probably don't like the most about the drawing project is the life drawing, because it's not the best thing that I'm good at. It's just, I find it hard. It's easier when you're in like a easy position if you're like straight side on, but if you're like to the front or an angle, then you have to think about like proportions and vanishing points and things like that, and perspective, that's the word. And so we did like a perspective lesson. I wasn't there for it, but I sort of caught on what they were talking about, how things are bigger when they're closer to you, and it's easy if you're doing it with straight buildings and lines and things because you can draw them in, but when you're actually doing a person, they don't have straight lines, so you've got to sort of think about it and work it around. So if a foot's closer to you, you have to make it bigger than the head almost, like exaggerate it so it looks more like it's closer to you, so you can obviously see that, which I found really difficult. I don't know why, I just find it hard to sort of get all the sizes right, because I struggle with the sizes of the body anyway. Like I usually make the body too short to the head or too long, like the legs too long or something, and it takes me a while to get it all right. So as well as thinking about that, you have to think about the size of everything, and it just gets really confusing, and I don't like that. How could I spend my time more effectively is another thing that I want to talk about. Unfortunately, during the drawing project for one of the weeks, I had a show going on at night, so I didn't have any time to like go home and do work at home, so that left me behind to start with. That was the second week, so then I had to catch up loads in half term, but I thought, oh no, it'll be okay, I've got loads of time. But I think that probably I should have done more in the first week than I did do. I didn't really do anything major, I just planned little sketches out, and I probably should have done most of the work then. Also, at the start of the project, I didn't really use Tumblr because I didn't really see the importance of it, but as it went on, I realised it is important, so then I was sort of behind on my Tumblr, so I had to keep catching up with that, and then obviously the drawing project you have to put loads on, and it all just sort of piled up, so I should have probably done like a little bit every single day instead of like doing a whole day on it, because it gets very stressful, especially when Tumblr doesn't work, and it's just a pain really, and then you get all muddled up and you can't remember what you've done. So in the future I am definitely going to do like a little bit after every single day and do sort of a day-to-day running of what I've done that day, instead of leaving it all to the weekend and then doing it all Sunday or something like that. Before I started the drawing project, I knew I liked working with pencil because that's what I worked with the whole way through my GCSE. We only really used like pencil, graphite pencils and coloured pencils, and most of the time I just worked in black and white because I thought I could work better that way. I mean, I wouldn't say I was the best at it, but I preferred the look of it than pencil crayon, and I still prefer that, but we didn't do things like ink and paint and things like that. So starting the drawing project has really opened my eyes for the different types of media you could use, because like when we started off I was just using pencil all the time, and I mean now my favourite medium to use is probably still pencil because it just works really effectively, and I know how to use it, the techniques to use, and I can make things look good with pencil. But through this drawing project I've picked up so many skills of the different mediums you could use, like watercolour and charcoal, ink, acrylic, all the sorts of things. We did everything. So the newest, like my favourite new thing at the moment is using watercolours and biro, because I did a bit of studying on Brian Froud, and to create a lot of his pictures, that's the kind of style that I used. I wouldn't say it's the most detailed and realistic sort of look, because I haven't really mastered the skill of biro yet, like shading with biro, but I do like it, and I think you can create some like creative things that don't look real in a sense, but they look good, like they look creative, they look fun, and you can tell what they are. Another medium that I've found that I really like to use is ink, and we used that to make pillows once, and we just got a stick and dipped it in some ink, and I loved this effect because it was just black lines, but it stood out, and it just looked really good, and I liked the way you could make like contouring with it, and so it wasn't exactly shading, but you could say like the creases in the pillows, you could outline them with lines going in the right direction, and it was really good. I like that medium. Overall, the thing I am most proud of in the whole drawing project has got to be the self-identified bit at the end, because I had the freedom to do what I wanted, so I could do whatever style I wanted, whatever medium I wanted, and when you have that freedom, it's like you choose your best things, so you create the best things you can create with what you are best at. And it really helped me sort of get into it, because you got to do whatever you wanted. So I chose the theme elves because I love the thought of like mythical sort of fantasy world and like fairies and elves and all them types of things. I love that sort of thing. And so it really got me interested in it before I even started it, so I was excited to start it instead of doing boring subjects that I didn't really like that much. And the finished pieces that I created, I'm really happy with. Just all the different ideas I've used, I probably would never have thought of that before I started college, and it's just been a great experience. Just the 8 weeks of the drawing has definitely helped so much, and I've improved a hell of a lot, and I am quite proud of myself. I mean, even my mum says that I've improved and things like that, how different I've been from school, and yeah. So overall I think I'm doing quite well, and I hope you think so too.